to Beyond the Walls with Faryl. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Faryl.
Oh my gosh, of course. You are our featured artist right now at the Greller Gallery. You have put together a beautiful exhibit called Between Moments, and we are going to dive into that exhibit, learn a little bit about the stories behind the paintings, but also your backstory. I think listeners are going to be really motivated and inspired by your backstory because you have such a beautiful life, and this is all about sharing and encouraging others to be their best. So I'm thrilled to be sitting down here with you. And I thought it'd be really fun to kick off this interview talking about San Antonio. We both are from here, well, born and raised.
Yes.
We left for college, came back. Now we're raising our own families here in San Antonio. I was curious about your upbringing. What was it like to, grow up here? And what kind of influence do you think this city has had on you as an artist? I mean, there's so much to pull from.
Yeah,
The culture, the community, the landscape.
definitely.
Yeah.
Growing up, I think the whole process of living in San Antonio as an adult versus as a child is so different. But growing up, getting to experience Fiesta,
Mhm.
and it's a big part of San Antonio culture that continues on through the year too. I mean, people continue to wear the clothes and wear bright things. And I think I was always someone that loved color, and I think it was just natural living and reflecting that within San Antonio. So yeah, growing up, I think being surrounded by those kind of festivities and historical preservation and things like that, I think that did reflect how I grew up and how I viewed the world. And so as an adult, I stepped away and I went to school at Texas A&M in Kingsville. And it was still a lot of fun culture and stuff, but I was, when are we celebrating Fiesta? And everyone's like, what's Fiesta? I thought that was just, my brain was just like, oh, that's everywhere.
You only know what you know, right?
Yeah. And so, I got to kind of teach that to other people as I was living somewhere else, and then coming back and getting to actually step into myself as an artist, but also experience San Antonio as an adult.
Yeah,
It was like getting all those things that I grew up in, and getting to wrap that around me like a blanket, and just sit there with it. And it definitely did translate into my art. And I think that was just like a natural thing because it's something that just like lives within us. It's something that's kind of hard to explain because it is such a strong, friendly, bright, and vibrant community.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to describe your art as well. I mean, you use a lot of color, so I think that makes total sense. When you were young, were you always painting, and was there someone in your life that really inspired you to be creative?
Yes. So my dad, he was a very big creative person. He was an artist, but not like for his job. He was a math teacher, but he was also a musician for a long, long time. And so I grew up around music, and I grew up, opening my lunch box and having little drawings on napkins and things like that. He bought me journals and sketch pads and different types of pens and pencils, and let me draw on my walls when I was a kid and paint my furniture. And he just
total freedom.
He let me have that freedom, and it was more like, she's going to be an artist or anything, but just I want her to fill herself and express herself. And they saw that as a young age for me, and so I was able to continue doing that and just be. I think I was surrounded by the arts, and so that definitely inspired me. And I went to school for journalism. Yeah, because I did write like literary magazine in high school, and the literary magazine in college, and the newspaper as well. And so I went in as journalism, and then a couple of years in, I was taking an art course, and the painting professor looked at me and she said, "Why are you not doing this full time?" And I looked at her and I was like, I didn't know, this was something that I could do full time. I thought I had to have some 9-to-5 job or something like that. And so I ended up changing my major into art. She was just very inspirational, and I started finding my journey there. So like I was like in my 20s finding really finding my voice. Before that, it was just doing it for fun. I really wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to write articles. I'm a published photographer. I'm a published poet. I have those sides of me. I love to write things. I help other artists write like grants and proposals. Like I love to write. But I always thought everyone always said you have the voice and you have the face to be like a news anchor.
Ooh.
They always said that to me, like growing up my whole life. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. But I don't know. I think it was maybe the professors I had. Not all the professors, but there was one professor I had that just really rubbed me the wrong way. And I was like, I don't want to be. He made me feel like it was going to be something that was going to be miserable. And there was one time where I had to leave to take my dad, like to go check on my dad because he suffered from Parkinson's. And so I was like, I have to go home this weekend. I wasn't getting paid. I was a freshman at the time. And he said, oh, like you can't go to your family. You stories are more important. You know, everyone dies. Like your dad's going to die one day.
Oh my God.
Just this story is more important. And as soon as I heard that, I was just like, and maybe it's not, I have friends that are journalists. And so I look at that now, I'm like, it's really not that exactly. But at the time it was so new to me and I was so excited about it. And that kind of set the tone of, I want to do something that's more happy. I want to do something that I meant to like be in people's life to like bring light and to listen and to share stories and to bring happiness. I mean, there are other things that come about, like other emotions that come within it as well. But I was, as soon as that happened, I was like, I need to venture into like finding out what I'm really supposed to do.
And you also had another, you were saying, professor that really believed in you and saw a promise in your art. So
Yeah.
you had a little bit of both.
I did have a little bit of both. And
there's a lot of blessing in
yeah,
that.
it was really encouraging. Yeah. And that professor, actually, when I was getting close to graduating, she's like, can I write you a recommendation a letter to like Harvard and to blah, 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 and blah, blah. She wanted me to get my master's right away. And I told her, I said, I need to go into the real world. I need to get the experience. I need to figure out like what it looks like on my own.
So what is your experience like when you walk into the art studio and you see a blank canvas? What's your process? Like, do you have rituals, or do you sketch first, or is it more intuitive?
It's changed over time with being a mom of a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old. Trying to find my ritual is very different when it comes to painting now. Before it was like just go to work and go straight to the studio and paint all night and go to work, and I could paint whenever I wanted. I could stay up all night if I wanted. I can't really do that now. I still I still stay up and paint. But it was more like on my time whenever if I felt, you know, the inspiration, I could go for it. I could come back and know I could do it tomorrow. Now it's like we'll talk about it, I'm sure, in a moment about the show. It's finding moments and so yeah, I'm like I think it's hard. I do get inspiration still, but it is more like, okay, I have these 2 canvases. They need to be done. I have to plan them out a little bit more just so I know kind of a direction I'm going in. It doesn't always have to end up being that direction. But I do say I do like to normally paint in quiet because there's just always so much going on during the day. And every so often I find I will like, I'll put on karaoke music and I sing and I do karaoke while I paint.
Oh, that's so fun. That sounds like a fun event.
It's fun. And then when the kids are around, we take breaks and we dance. And we do that a lot actually when I am painting like in the same space as Albert's. We do have a shared studio. Then we'll take breaks and we'll do little dance parties and stuff. But I do find myself also painting a lot out of our apartment as well, just because it's easier right now.
At what point in your journey though is there a story you can share, or did it just click where you were like, you know what, I love to paint as a hobby, but I'm gonna make that transition and do this full time? How did that transition come to be? Because you didn't real quick, when you were little, what did you think you were gonna be when you grew up? This is so great.
When I was little, I either wanted to be a professional singer or a professional women's wrestler,
which I love. And just what's the quick story behind that?
No, I just growing up, we didn't have cable or anything, and my parents had set aside some money to get my brother and I each our individual little box TVs, and so we had them in our rooms, and we had those antennas that you had to move around to get the right picture on the screen. But I think there were only like 2, maybe 3 channels sometimes that we could get, and the one that came on at night that I would always see was women's wrestling, and so I just got fascinated by it. I was not an aggressive person. I'm still not an aggressive person, but just like the whole performative part of it, and the strength of a woman wrestler. I just thought it was so beautiful and powerful. Definitely for a young girl to look up to that and be like, I can be strong, I can be powerful. I don't, it gave that feeling of, I don't know, something that I just looked forward to.
Yeah, I love it. And so I thought that was really cute. So I wanted to talk about that. But what along the way, where did you decide, you know what, I'm not going to be a wrestler. I'm going to pursue art.
Well,
full time.
The inspiration to art career from that, I learned early on that I probably wasn't going to become a wrestler. It was more like just this dream in the back of my head because I was not an athletic kid. I think just being centered around everything, it was kind of like, putting like filling up a cup, right? That analogy of filling up a cup, positive things, you pour a little bit more, and then it overflows. Some people use that as like anxiety or something, right? Like you're pouring it over and then it topples over and you have a meltdown or something. And it was kind of like that. It's like my whole life, like little creative things were being poured into my cup. And I think it was that point of, being in high school and I was a French horn player. And knowing that I wanted to do something like, music therapy, some kind of therapy, something like that, something that helped people again. And so when I was in college and then I decided to change into art, I was like, oh, I could be an art therapist. I could paint and transform someone's life while they look at their wall. I could lead classes and show other children how to process their emotions and just things like that. It felt more well-rounded and it just like, it did hit me that way. I think that's kind of when it was in college when it just kind of clicked. It transitioned. It took my professor to say, I really think this is something you should be doing. And I was like, oh, someone else can see something that I don't see, but I feel it. So let's try this out.
For the listeners who haven't seen your work, how would you describe your pieces, your paintings?
How would I describe my work? I think I would describe my work, bright, colorful, unless it's a commission and someone doesn't want me to do that. I think there's a lot of texture, there's a lot of movement, a reflection of just like, our emotions and the way that we process life. And that it can be busy, but it can also be calm and beautiful. And I think that's just kind of wrapped up in a ball of what I do because every series is a little bit different, but I think that's kind of more a well-round of
I agree
what my work represents.
I totally agree. I would use the words delicate, emotional, and just very feminine. I find I get those emotions and vibes when I look at your pieces. I know that your work draws deeply from your emotions, and I wanted to ask you how you use color and form and movement to translate your emotions onto your canvas.
Representing my emotions into like the way that I'm performing this piece, because I take it kind of as a performance, and the way that I'm coming about the piece. And so I definitely think that whatever feeling I'm feeling, I try to have all of my mediums out and my tools out, and I try to like not let any thought process get too in the way of how I'm feeling. So I really don't think about it too hard. I do notice certain styles that I do, like when I'm happy or when I'm stressed out or different feelings that I'm feeling more of. I do notice that I do kind of gravitate towards a certain style.
And colors too?
And colors and things like that.
If you were angry, what colors do you pull from?
Usually, well, I would say like a lot of reds and darker colors.
What about happiness?
Magentas, oranges, turquoises, lots of those colors.
Those are great colors.
Yeah, they remind me of like, I don't know, the ocean and sunsets.
I know your art is also shaped by your experiences, and I thought it would be a good time to tap into your white floral series. This is
Okay.
part of the exhibit that we have at the gallery. We
Mhm.
have your white floral series in small scale and large scale, and I just find the story behind where the where the inspiration came from so meaningful, and I would love if you could share that with us.
Okay. Yeah. You know, the White Floral series, it started, it wasn't meant to be a series, and it started back in 2016.
Mhm.
I was painting a painting for my mom, and I wanted to give her something special for her birthday because she was just getting ready to um, leave years of teaching to step down and become my dad's caretaker. And even though it was a decision for her that she definitely would never second guess, I could tell how hard it was for her. Um, and even recovering from that now, how hard it is for her to recover from that, even though she would never change it. Never, she
Mhm.
wanted to be there for my dad, and um, but I created the pieces. I at first didn't even know I was going to do flowers. I just knew I wanted to go into the canvas with the way that she might have felt, the way the world was being towards her, and the way that she might have felt, um, losing that kind of idea of her identity,
Mhm.
um, and having to take care of someone that she loved more than life itself. Um, and I think I also I took those moments into myself as well of reflecting like my dad and what he was going through. And so I had done the backgrounds very um, very 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 abstract. It was kind of
Mhm.
all over the place. I didn't know where I was going with it. And at the time, I didn't have that much money at all. I was living with my parents. It was right after college, and I just had primary colors. So I kind of wanted to hold those primary colors in there too. And then I sat with it for a while. At the time, I was like, I'm not really a flower person. I wasn't a person. I like don't like getting flowers. I do now, but
Mhm.
I just wasn't a huge flower person. I was a big nature person, being in nature, but
Mhm.
um, I just thought about the flower, like a flower in general, and how organic they are, and how they take through all different types of weather, how they can regrow, how they can plant seeds for new things to grow. And so I took that thought, and then I thought, my mom and dad, they're leading this new chapter in their life by, they're really holding strong to their faith and their belief in God. And I wanna like translate that purity and that I don't know, that love and strength and almost that transparency of who we are in life.
Mm.
And so I decided to captivate the flowers just in complete white. They were a lot more messy than they are now.
Really?
I just
Interesting.
kind of went for it, so it was
Mhm.
very 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 messy. But they still, I mean, you can look at them and still see it's part of the series. Um, and I just like I looked at it. I said, okay, well, the background, it's, still too chaotic. There's too much going on. And so I kind of formed my own material as like to use as like a kind of a sponge, but it wasn't a sponge material. And I kind of did like a snow type thing around it just to kind of give it that almost that mirror effect of looking through like a window or something. And that was one of the last paintings my dad ever framed, or really things he built. He built
Mm.
frames for those pieces. Um, and that's where the white flowers started, and they just continued to grow, and I didn't know they were going to. And I think I found myself through them, and I still am finding myself through them. And the really cool process of it is just getting to have collectors commission me or find ones that whenever I do get chances to like produce the extras,
Mhm.
and they find one and they just reflect within themselves of whatever struggles they're going through, whatever life changes they're
Yeah.
going through, and knowing that they can be this delicate flower but still be strong through
Mhm.
all of the chaos.
Mhm.
And and so yeah, it's a very special and like sentimental series to me. And that is one series that I don't just go, oh, I'm just gonna like go straight into it every day. Like I have to be in the mood for that. Um, and so yeah.
And when you look at your white floral pieces now, or the series, does it bring back the emotions when you first started to create it, or how do you reflect on these pieces all these years later, knowing that
Yeah.
it's evolved, and so have you?
I think I still reflect that way. I kind of they are more of a spiritual. The white flowers are more of a spiritual, the spiritual journey for me. And so I let it transition whatever I'm going through in life. Like it might represent a little bit differently, but I do still step back in the core. Like not having my dad here. He's we lost him like 3 years ago in May, this May, and so I still reflect on those almost in a different way too, since he is gone. Like kind of that thought of heaven and but also being here on earth and stuff. And so I do have that kind of feeling when I'm painting those pieces.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that when we were talking about the white floral pieces at the gallery, there's a really interesting story that you shared with me. I don't know if it was about this one specific piece or it was just part of the journey, where you had a friend who was going through something similar and there was a letter involved, and y'all
Yeah.
kind of collaborated and created together.
Yeah.
Can you share that with us?
So this was a couple years ago. It's not what started the white florals. It was kind of like an offset piece from the series. And it is in the show right now. My friend Selena Ramos, um, she's been my best friend since college. But she's a writer. And a couple of years ago, or about 3 years ago, they gave me an opportunity to have a solo show at Bright Coffee. And so I was getting a little bit closer to like being a year out from the show. And I had just listened to a podcast. And they were specifically in that episode talking about Georgia O'Keeffe and her and her best friend, and how they would uh, write, like they'd send each other paintings and they would do written responses through the mail because they didn't live close to each other. And I thought that was so beautiful, like as an artist, and just wanting, critique. You're so open to being able to do critique nights. Like I can say, hey, what artist wants to do a critique night this week, Friday at the gallery? And people are just like,
Yeah,
there.
I'll be there.
It wasn't like that, before. And so I thought that was a beautiful thing between Georgia O'Keeffe and her friend. And so when I was getting closer to a year out, I came up with this idea of doing a show that was us writing back and forth, like almost through the mail, but it was like through emails and through text messages. And we took every other month we were responding to each other. So I would do a painting and she would respond with a creative writing piece, or she would do a creative writing piece and I would respond with a painting. And it was really beautiful getting to like understand each other's kind of stories through our crafts and what we do to reflect those crafts. So with the piece that's in the studio, she did write a letter, and I would love to read it.
I would love to hear it.
She did.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the title of the painting, is this Texas? Which one is
Magnolias?
Texas.
Yes,
Texas Magnolias.
Texas
right?
Magnolias.
Okay.
And again, Selena, like I lost my dad, and Selena did lose her father a couple years before that. And she just felt my story behind the flowers, and she was like, I think this would be a beautiful moment to do a white flower piece where we can have something that represents our fathers. And so I did that was the last painting I did in that show. I did the flowers a little bit different than I usually do them. They're very open. And then she wrote this creative writing piece, which she decided to do. It's the only letter in the show. And of course, we both have children. Sorry, both have children, so it kind of reflects in the second part of this letter.
Okay.
Dear Dad, I keep thinking about what I would say to you if I could see you again. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your dedication to our family. I don't know if I ever said these things to you in life. Looking back in our time together, I wish I had taken more pictures of you or written down some of the stuff you told me. If only I could have just followed you around with a tape recorder, laugh out loud, hindsight. I just figured we'd have more time together, you know? I didn't think grief affected memories. Sometimes I can hear you clear as day. You're a voice sharp in my mind. Sometimes your face is a blur in my mind and I can hardly make out your features. My heart quivers and my hands shake. I'm still standing in the reverberations of the catalysm of my loss. It's been hard to. My eyes are getting blurry. I'm crying a little bit. It's been hard to regulate my emotions. I don't even really care to try most days. You were my calm, you were my peace. Whenever life was chaotic and I felt like I couldn't handle things, you were always there to still my heart, my mind. We would troubleshoot, find a solution, and I'd try again. Your love and your faith in me, I have come to realize, allowed me to bloom into the woman that I am. If I could speak to you one more time, I'd tell you that your grandchildren are everything you could have hoped for. Silly, funny, little things. They have your smile and they carry with you your joy for life. Oh, Dad, being able to watch them grow is so bittersweet. I wish you were here to see it. I've lost count of the number of times that they did or said something so ridiculously cute or funny that I immediately thought of you. I imagined that you'd say to me, my sweet grandbaby, or perhaps you used to do the same thing when you were that small, and then proceed to tell me the story. They ask about you all the time. He still remembers you, and we sit together and I hold on to him until the feelings become less painful. She wonders where heaven is and if we can go visit soon. She tells everyone she knows that she has a grandpa in the sky. If I could speak to you one more time, I would tell you how much you are loved. I would tell you how sorely you are missed. I would tell you all the things that you are to me, and you would leave this world filled with the knowledge that you touched the lives of so many people. You filled our world with color. You are the inspiration that drives me and makes me the person I am today. Thank you, Dad. Love always, Caroline Gonzales.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
The hidden tissues.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
I haven't read that through since having my second child. And my first son, my dad passed away when he was 3. And him and my dad were so close. He still remembers a lot about my dad. But having a second child and I see so much in his facial expressions. So it's like,
wow. It reminds you a lot of
my dad.
What was your dad's name?
Stuart. And my second's name is Vincent Stewart.
I love that. It's beautiful. It's a great name. It's a strong name.
Thank you.
Your mom must be like so in awe of you in the series. And I mean, what a beautiful tribute. I just can't even imagine. It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me share that.
Did Albert ever get to meet him?
Yes.
Yeah, well, of course,
they were so close.
And are they similar in some ways?
I feel like Albert's such a unique individual.
Well, just for the listeners, you are married to
another artist, Albert Gonzales.
Yes. Albert Gonzales, great guy,
great guy. Yes. I think my dad was a very like gentle giant. Had a very, his humor was like very smart humor and like kind of quirky. But he was like, he never raised his voice or anything like that. He would like let you know if you kind of like disappointed that moment or something. And it almost hurt heart more than my mom yelling or trying to spank us or something. But yeah, so my dad was just very gentle, very kind, always took time to help. And I think I see that side in Albert.
I was like, that sounds a lot like Albert.
Albert's a little bit more though. He has a dark humor and he has like this sarcasticness and roughness about him sometimes, which is not my dad at all. But the other side of him that's just like that's a constant side of him is sweet and calming. And I think he's able to put up with me. No, he knows whenever I like have emotions or anything like that, he knows how to just say, let's sit back with it. You're gonna be okay. Like, and he gives me those moments where I'm like, I feel that warmth, that
Yes.
kind of love, that kind
Yes,
of
that's
protection. And so
beautiful.
I do get that from both of them.
That's amazing. So what is it like to be, uh, you know, married to an artist? Do you guys ever co-create together in terms of art, or
Yeah.
do you ever critique each other's work, or do you kind of just support each other side by side? What is it like
It's kind of
living, with an artist, being an
yeah.
artist?
Yeah.
What's that like?
So being married to an artist, even before we were married, actually, the first date we ever had, we collaborated on a painting together.
Oh, great. That's cool.
Um, that was the first kind of like non-date date. Like
Mhm.
we
I was like, did
didn't
you
we
fall
weren't
in
trying to
love?
date. We actually, yeah, that was the night
Was it?
that was the night he told me, like, I don't know like who you are in my life, but I know like I want you to be in my life forever. I don't know who you're
Mhm.
going to be, if you're going to be like whoever you're going to be, but you're going to be in my life forever.
Yeah.
And we definitely had just like a long night of a bunch of different things, and we finished the night painting for like 4 hours. And that's kind of when I actually started doing abstract stuff, which was before I didn't really push into abstract as much.
Mhm.
We do collab here and there. Definitely, I think we definitely do our individual things, and we help kind of foster and those ideas and stuff that we have, uh, and own those things. I do like Albert likes to joke though. He'll kind of look at me and go, "But my ideas are your ideas," like kind of like the whole married
Little
thing.
mind twist.
But yeah, I mean, the first time that I ever live painted, we were supposed to live paint separately in La Vida.
Mhm.
It was like late 2016, during the Dia de los Muertos, and we brought our own setups, our own tarps, everything. And as we're driving over there, I just had a panic attack, and I had never really had a panic attack like that before. I just got so nervous. I was like, "Oh, people are
Wow.
gonna watch me paint. I don't like painting in front of people.
Well,
What is
there's
this?"
pressure.
And it was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And he said, "You know what? Let's just take it step by step. Let's get
Mhm.
there, and let's go sit down in the cafe and have some food and talk." So again, we got there, we set down our stuff, we went to the cafe and had bean and cheese tacos and
Mhm.
coffee. And he really regulated my emotions, and it was like, let's not do separate paintings. Let's live paint together. We'll take turns, and we'll just make it like just a fun experience of creativity. And
Yeah.
he's like, everything, you can't be too hard on yourself. Everything takes, determination. It takes longevity. It takes sacrifice. And like, you're here. And that's just like a step into that.
Mhm.
And yeah. And so that's always kind of been a saying of ours, is determination, longevity, sacrifice. We even put it on a shirt one time.
Yeah, I believe it.
But yeah, that was one of the first times we collaborated. And since then we've had a few moments where people have asked us to collaborate together.
Mhm.
He's known for his a series called Wabi Sabi Flowers.
Mhm.
And we actually had a couple. The wife didn't like them. The husband did. So he got this like 16 by 20 piece of the Wabi Sabis. She liked him, but it wasn't like her style that she leaned towards. And then they came to pick up the piece, and she fell in love with my abstract work.
Oh, wow.
So she bought one of them, and they put them in their spaces. And then a couple of years later, they reached out to us and they said, "Have y'all ever thought about collaborating on a Wabi Sabi piece?" So we did.
Oh,
We did
wow.
this huge piece. I think it was a 48 by 60, maybe a little bit bigger.
Okay.
And it's abstract and Wabi Sabi going on.
Oh my gosh, beautiful.
And so after that, we created another piece. It's for sale, actually. It's at Full Belly.
Mhm.
Um, and it's right when you walk in. And the owner wanted us to do a piece together after seeing that post of that piece. And then we did a whole show on them in
Oh,
Houston.
wow. Okay. I
So
love that.
but
I wanted to also talk to you about motherhood
yeah.
and turning points, because I know that you have two boys. We both have two boys.
Yeah.
Yours are a little bit younger than mine, but it's a beautiful thing to be a mom of two boys. And I just wanted to ask what that experience has been like as an artist, um, to become a mother not once but twice, and how has that translated over into your work?
I had a really hard recovery with my first. So I wasn't in the studio. I couldn't get paint all over the
Mm.
floor. I couldn't do what I normally do and get all messy.
Mhm.
And so that was already like hard for me. I was like, oh, I have to kind of retain myself a little bit and what I'm doing. And then how do I captivate being a mom? How do I captivate my me not just being about myself anymore. I'm now, my heart's like shared with this little tiny human. Like it is a huge reflection. It's a huge transition. And so I did a lot of pieces that were almost like they kind of reminded me of Roth going away, just like that kind of square filling going down. But yeah, it was like almost like a mirror image of like things being split in two, trying to find myself, because like we are a whole, we are this one creation together now, but like now I'm split. And that's how it's going to always be. And so like that body of work that I had done. And I knew from then on out, like things were going to be different. And I think also like going through hormonal changes and realizing that I was suffering with postpartum depression and just trying to process that all, new emotions and new feelings. It's kind of like the whole inside out. Like I get really emotional with that movie because it's like seeing all these emotions that the parents are feeling too, and like hitting puberty, and you learn something for the next time. And it's like it's such a big life change. And so yeah, I definitely feel like it had changed me a lot, and then I realized it was changing me for the better. And really making me think about my work in a whole different way, and being more not like, oh, I can paint all the time. Like I was very more precise about my timing and like what I was doing. Um, and then I kind of got on the roll. Like I got, I was, my son started growing older. He's 6 now. And he got to the point where we put him into pre-K, and I was like, oh my God, I have my time back. What do I do? I didn't take a break ever. I mean, it wasn't, I wasn't producing as much as I would produce. So I guess like there were little breaks here and there, like maybe a couple months off, a couple months on. Like I was trying to figure that all out. Plus I was still, when I had my son, I was still working a full-time job. So it wasn't until he was like over 1 year old where I was like, I need to step down. I need to go full-time into art. Albert saw it too. It was a really hard transition for us both because we're both full-time artists now, It's a really scary thing to do. Definitely, it was like right after the pandemic. We're like, we're going to go full-time art. We're going to make it.
Right. Well, I'm glad you did.
I'm so glad I did. But yeah, I think it was, that transition, and my son went to school, and I actually, got a residency somewhere, and I was creating work there. And I felt very like I was finding myself again. And then I just got pregnant again. When I was told I couldn't.
Crazy how that works.
Yeah, I was told I couldn't have a baby again. So it was a big blessing and a big surprise.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine myself not having 2 boys now.
Right.
It's the coolest thing, having 2 boys.
Right. It's
it.
I'd love to dive into the exhibit that we have at our gallery. Again, it's called Between Moments. 25 or 29? How many pieces?
There's 29 pieces.
29. I think maybe it started at 25 and then it grew. But it's a beautiful exhibit. There's little series within that complete the exhibit. But it's called Between Moments, and I wanted to ask you where that title came from. You chose it, and I want to know, since I know that emotion has a lot to do with how you create, what was that journey like, and why did you come up with that specific name for the show?
So, Between Moments, I sat with the idea of the thought of being in between moments. And of course, you saw I had sent you like a list of all these titles, and I was like, I don't know where I'm going with it, but it clicked when it clicked. I think that the whole idea of it is really finding those moments in between everything that takes the daily demands in our life, right? Whether they're positive or negative, and the places that we have to be. Personally, it's just taking it in as ourselves. It's hard for us to reflect on rest, to reflect on giving ourself time, or nurturing ourselves. Because normally most people, like, we're very giving. We're put a lot of energy out, and it's like all about, okay, what's next? What do I need to do next? What do I have this? And not reflecting within. And so this process was just like, finding over time, after having children and stuff, finding those moments just in quiet, or in little spaces to just really reflect within myself, and to like let myself speak through my art. I mean, there are times where those between moments, I'm like, oh, I would kill for a nap.
Totally. Right?
I would love to fold that laundry.
How old are your kids now?
1 and 6.
Just one day at a time.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. But yeah. So I don't know. I also had to be forgiving because art is so much of a reflection within myself. It's like journaling, or journaling or praying or going on a walk or things like that, which I do that kind of stuff too. But it is my meditative space, my space to sit with myself. And so I was looking at it like, my son just turned 1 in December. And I do have to, I'm starting to paint more in the studio space that we have, but I was mainly painting from the apartment. And it was like, okay, well, I'm having to feed him, and then I'm having to walk, definitely now, run after him, and do this and do that. And I never really got a break. I couldn't find those spaces. I couldn't find that, oh, I'm dropping off my son and I can paint from 8 to 3, or moments like that. Or I got off of work, I get 4 hours to paint. I had to be more, I just had to be smart about my time, and but also find that way to mentally like shift into that time too, because that time might be 30 minutes. It might be 4 hours. It might be all night, and then I forget, and then it's like 4 in the morning, and I'm like, oh, my son's waking up in 2 hours for his bottle.
The juggle is
it's a weird
right?
juggle. But I mean, there's some amazing artists out there that are local in San Antonio that are amazing mothers. I look up to them so much. I'm like, I try not to live through social media or anything, because you don't know what they're really going through. But I'm like, wow, just phenomenal artists, and some that continue to process and do shows and stuff as their children grow with very little help. Some that have help and they find time, and then there's some artists where they're older, like in their 40s or 50s, and their kids are older now, and they said, I put a break on for 10 years, and now I'm just getting back into my art. And so I had to take it into myself as like, this identity that I'm giving myself as a mother and as an artist and just a woman, I have to be more forgiving, and not, everyone has their own journey, and they juggle it a different way too. And what might be easy for one mom might be harder for another. And so I think that was the first step. And then when I was able to do that, then it was like, I'm going to continue to push through and keep painting even though I have kids. I'm not, I can't personally go a year or more without painting just because I have children. I personally can't.
Right.
So yeah, am I exhausted sometimes? Sometimes people look at me and they're like, how do you do this all? But it's just because it's like, I want to do it. So I'm going to make it happen.
Right.
And you might, if you wanted to come over to my house right now, it's probably going to look chaotic, because I went 2 days painting in my between moments, instead of doing the dishes, instead of folding the laundry, instead of cleaning up after my sons or whatever. And there's tons of takeout in that trash can instead of cooked meals, because I decided to paint instead. It's like, I have to give myself that chance of like, it's one or the other, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And
it's okay to put yourself first.
Yeah, and putting myself first.
When you've been invited to do a show, and it's like, you know what, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
It might affect the dishes, but we can do it.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. So
yeah, it's all temporary, right?
Yeah. So yeah, when I was creating this, though, it was just like, it was fighting those. It was also like after having a second child, trying to find that rhythm again. Almost like when I got into Clamplight, I was finding that rhythm. I think you just like reached out at the right time, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do a really beautiful show, and I have to figure this out. And so it was like trying to figure out my setup for a while, because our apartment's not huge. It's a beautiful apartment. We have 15-foot ceilings, but the living room and dining room's all like, it's just like one shared big square. And there was times where I was like, we're gonna eat on the floor by the couch, because I'm putting our table folds up. It's an old antique table that like folds out, and the chairs come out of it and stuff. Oh, cool. And I set it off to the side, and I brought out my painting table, and for a while I was like, no one's allowed to come behind this couch. Like everything back here, no one's allowed. Because I don't want to see a ball over here.
I'm going to do this, and I need eyes on everybody, but I'm also going to
be producing and stuff. So I and I kept it going. I didn't want to have a space where it's like, oh, I got to put up my work and then get it out the next day, because I had to live within the in between those moments, moments of naps and getting the kids to sleep and knowing they fell asleep and going, oh, I can do this real quick. Oh, they woke up. Let me go tend to that and then come back. And it was just finding myself and finding those little moments. And I felt like making it that title just very simple. It's between moments.
Says it all too.
It says it all with such a small phrase.
Just 2 words.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the 2 cactus on what I often call it one of the signature walls in the gallery. I mean, they're beautiful. I'd love for you to share the background behind what inspired those 2 pieces.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh man. So those were actually the last 2 paintings that I did of the show. I had the canvases ready to go.
And they're circles.
Big circle Tondo canvases that my friend Elias Vieta created. He's an amazing artist and human being.
Yes,
yeah,
he's a good person.
But yeah, I had those canvases like sitting in the studio for a while, and of course, like I said, I was working a lot from the apartment, and those were like too big. So I was like, I'm just gonna wait to do those when it starts warming up a little bit, because it's still so cold. And I had the idea of kind of what I wanted to do, but I wasn't 100% sure. And I think it clicked when I had, there's different series in the show. And so having like the frail flowers and stuff, I went back into my mind of like, I do not have a green thumb. I can't keep anything alive. There's a reason I grew up in Texas with all these cactuses everywhere. Kingsville, like always seeing cacti, and living like where the King Ranch is, you have tons of wildlife. So you'd see like prickly pear stuff all over. And I think I wanted to tie into that like journey of just like living in Texas and being in nature, and having something that can withstand like so much heat and life and stuff. And but the 2 pieces, they're both prickly pears. One has thorns on it, and it has the prickly pear fruits on it. So I wanted it to represent like an internal like reflection of myself, or even people if they're looking at it themselves. Just like that, the beautiful cacti, and how even though it's nutritious and it holds in water and it's growing and strong, it bears all this sweet fruit. It does have this protection barrier on it. It has to stay strong and stay tough and protect itself. And I was like, man, that feels like me. I'm a very I can have a stern side to myself, but like I'm a very loving person, a very emotional person. And so I've learned over the years, because I tend to like gravitate towards like my best friend, or like my closest friends, or my husband, who know how to have that like protective barrier on themselves. I even had a friend in college that was like, are you going to learn how to like put on a turtle's shell? Like, you need to be able to protect yourself, Caroline. You can't be so easy with it. So I think I learned that over time. So that was the first cacti that I did for the 2 together. And then when I was talking to my best friend who wrote that letter, we were talking, and I was telling her the pieces that I was doing. And I was like, I'm going to do another cacti, but have like the flowers blooming on it. And I was like ready to go in with the thorns again, because I was like, I'm thorns. Like I have this barrier. Yeah. And she said, Caroline, she's like, you've been down here. Not all prickly pear cactuses have thorns. Some are like, they don't have that protectiveness on them. She's like, I have some in my backyard, and she like sent me a picture right away. She was like, hold on. She walked outside. I was like, oh my gosh, not all of them have it. And another reflection of us as humans, like personally myself, like learning before knowing how to have that barrier, and have that protective defense, so I was like, I still want to go with the flowers. I want it to be like this delicate cactus that's growing beautiful flowers. Like it can get harmed so easily, but it's so beautiful, and it has so much life, and I just thought it was such a good transparency in the concept of like how we can be as humans and like and also how we protect ourselves.
Yeah. A little bit of the yin, the yang.
The yin and the yang,
And
yeah.
also, sometimes it's good to drop the guard.
Drop the guard, yeah.
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 They're so beautiful.
Thank you.
I love them so much. What about the dog series?
Yes.
I love it. It's very contemporary, and I know that you don't typically. I don't know if you've ever painted a dog series. I know it's not something you typically do, so I appreciate you including that in your show. And I just wanted to give you a minute or two to talk about the inspiration behind that series.
So including the dog series. First of all, you're a very big inspiration on it.
Thanks.
Yeah, I know when we first talked about the show, and you were really captivated by the way I paint. Like, have you ever thought about doing dogs? And I was like, I've done some commissions with animals in them, but I had never really processed that thought. And then when I was in college, I did some lithographs where there was just lots of carving into plexiglass and stuff and the relief. And I did those. I did my dogs growing up. But I never really thought about taking the process. And then it was also like, okay, because I work in different materials, how am I going to break, kind of make it flow, but break it all up together? And so I wanted it because a lot of my pieces, a lot of color going on, a lot of movement, a lot of texture. And I wanted to kind of break up like the conversation, like kind of give that rest, that moment of pause through the conversation as people walk throughout the space. And so I wanted to still go with those. I chose different colors for each background. And then of course, different animals, some that were like, I want to paint this dog because like the Afghan, I have one of our closest friends. I'm like, he's one of my best friends. He's also a collector of ours. And he has he has 3 now, beautiful Afghans. And so I was like, I knew right on top of my head, I was like, one of the dogs I'm going to paint is an Afghan.
Is that the blue one?
It's the blue one. Yeah, it's like kind of like a turquoisey blue.
Yes, yeah.
And he's probably the least detailed one. But I just kind of wanted to give it that like windy, organic vibe. But yeah, I think it was a process too, trying to find it. So you like each dog kind of looks a little different because I was learning as I was going to kind of like get back in the roots of using Prisma pencils with acrylic backgrounds again, because I had done some, subject pieces in college where I would do colored pencils on top of acrylics, but I hadn't revisited anything like that in a long time. So it was really nice. And, now I find myself continuing to grow with the dogs. And I also just got reached out by someone that's commissioning me to do 2 of her dogs.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Were they at the show?
They weren't, no.
But they saw the pieces from Instagram.
They saw a post on Instagram. Well, a friend saw a post on Instagram, shared that with them and said, you love your dogs, you still don't have a portrait of them.
Oh, fantastic. What kind of dogs are they?
They're both pugs.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and I'm gonna meet
because you have a pug in the series.
Yeah, the pug in the series. Yeah.
Oh,
so I'm excited.
Cute. I can't wait to see what that looks like.
It's gonna be fun.
That is fun.
So I love it. I think they definitely go with the show. I think also not only is it in an animal hospital, but like I feel like dogs have so much energy and so much human emotion. So I feel like it kind of goes in with the color and the movement.
It's a nice flow. Like you said, it's a nice break.
Yeah.
I agree. From the movement and the meditation and the white floral pieces. And it's a great compliment for sure. A portion of the sales from the exhibit Between Moments is going to wildlife rescue and rehabilitation. This is a nonprofit that you really wanted to tie to the exhibit. And I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that. And then also just more broadly, what do you think the role is for artists in terms of playing their part with drawing more attention and awareness to issues that affect us all?
That's such a good question. First of all, I love that the gallery that I'm showing in right now, the Greller Gallery, I love that it gives back into nonprofits that help animals. I think that's such an amazing thing. I've heard about them before selecting them, and just seeing all like I've heard other people that have worked for them, and volunteered and stuff, and how great of a nonprofit they are. Um, and just the environment that they have for the animals is really good. And I mean, it's they rescue so many types of animals too, and just like simple things like a squirrel or and I don't know. I just thought it's just like the little things in nature that might be a bigger animal. Like I know they talked about how they have like a bear or something like that, but like I don't know. I love that it was that they kind of grabbed all animals from all
There's
backgrounds
no
and
limit.
no
They're
limit.
they're the nonprofit that you call, if you see, like you said, a squirrel hurt
Yeah.
or a raccoon is in the attic and you don't know what to
Yeah.
do. I mean,
Something
these
simple.
people or a deer might be stuck or,
Yeah.
um, they serve a really important mission.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and there was a couple that came to the show. They said they met you somewhere, like, a couple days previous, and they're like, "We just wanted to come."
Oh,
And
good.
the man had previously volunteered for a few years with
Oh,
them,
oh, great. So
and
that's
yeah,
nice.
and he was talking about, like, one time, like, they rescued a skunk because there was, like, a family of
Exactly.
skunks while they were trying to, like, build a building, and the workers didn't wanna go in, so they had to go
Mhm.
get the skunks out before they could continue to build the building.
Yes.
So the things like that, but, I think, when it comes back to, like, the being an artist and being able to, uh, help other, voices be heard
Mhm.
and, um, help raise awareness, you can come about it different ways, right?
Mhm.
Some artists are right in your face, they're gonna bring awareness by what they paint.
Mhm.
They wanna paint with an issue, and it's right there. Um, but I think as an artist, like, we do need to find ways that we can help, whether it's, like, donating, to nonprofits or I don't know, it's just things like that where you're making a difference
Mhm.
within yourself,
Mhm.
and within your art. If you're able to give back into the
Mhm.
community,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree completely. I think art, that's what's so powerful about it is that, you can draw attention to causes or issues that are important to you or the community. And there's many ways of going about it. And it's not just painting, it could be through music, it could be through poetry, it could be through all forms of art.
Mhm.
But I do, that concept that we're all in it together, is where is what is meaningful to me. And so
Yeah,
if we're going to create something, let's draw attention to something as well
yeah,
and maybe help raise money or a brand or awareness to a
yeah,
cause. So I
yeah,
think I think what you created at the Greller Gallery and attaching the show with this particular exhibit, Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation, is a great match. And I know they're so grateful. And they definitely do great work. And so it's a pleasure to have them kind of part of the family and
yeah. I loved
along.
meeting them.
Yeah, just
They're so
great
nice.
people, great people. Um, Looking ahead though, from where you are right now, you have a new joint studio with Albert. You have two kids. We didn't get too much into it, but you're running a small gallery as well. You have this exhibit. What feels most exciting or urgent in this next phase of your work?
Mm. So not being able to paint in my studio because it's a warehouse,
Mhm.
right? And so it was, like, very cold when we first moved in, then it got super hot, and
Mhm.
Albert will paint in all
All
all the
conditions.
different types of
Yeah.
conditions. Um, but having a baby, I couldn't do that right away. We did just get, approved to have an AC unit go into
All
the space,
right. Great.
so
Feel
that
like that's
changes
the
a lot.
urgent
That's the
part.
urgent part.
Yeah.
I do see myself producing a lot more, a lot larger, um and really helping be my big thing, like, I wanna be a voice for myself, and I wanna, I want to be able to create work and have it live outside of me,
Mhm.
and continue to bloom
Mhm.
throughout wherever it decides to go. But, I a big part of my heart is helping other artists, and that's something
Mhm.
that Albert and I are always trying to do. Whether it's providing residencies for artists or things like that, we try to make it happen.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think getting to paint more in the space and then also open up our space more for the community, doing more small shows within
Mhm.
the micro gallery we have, Uplift
Mhm.
Gallery.
Mhm.
Um, we have a show coming up on the 21st for in that space,
Yeah. If
and
people wanted to learn more about
yeah,
how to attend one of these shows,
yeah,
how do they?
they can follow us on social media at Uplift Gallery
Okay.
or email us at upliftgallery upliftgallery.com or upliftgallery@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah, it's we don't really have a name for our studio, but we process everything through the gallery's socials, and then individually we post things that are going on in our studio.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm just excited to see more happen now that like the AC's getting put in there.
Oh
It
my
really
gosh,
makes a
with
big
summer
difference for
around
me.
the corner. Yeah, I don't blame
because I can
you.
have the kids in there more and produce more and try to like lock in more ideas, and it just gives us more room to be creative and let the community be creative.
Yeah,
And
that's a
so
great space. And
yeah.
I went to the studio to visit Albert about something, and I saw your wall, and I was like, "Who's this? What's going on here?" It was the white florals or there was a particular piece that I just
I told you I stay very
blown
quiet
away.
when it's Albert shows. I don't even talk about
blown
myself.
away. I was like, "Move over, Albert." Well, I thought we could close this interview or discussion in the same way that I did with our first artist guest. I really like to wrap up with a message of hope, something personal. And I wanted to know what advice you would give to someone who is in their own between moments. They're juggling change, doubt, motherhood, maybe a new chapter in their life, and but still feel this pull, toward being creative or doing something for themselves. And I thought it'd be a nice way to wrap up our conversation to just sort of hand it over to you and talk about or offer some words of wisdom in that
Yeah,
light.
I love that. I would say to people that are going through different processes or moments in their life, um, to find their between moments, to reflect within themselves, whether it's creatively through their own process or going on walks or trying something different that you're not used to. I think a big thing is we individually can get like stuck in like what we're living
Mhm.
and being more forgiving of time and of ourselves and letting us grow and know that change is always okay at any age and at
Mhm.
any time
Mhm.
with anything you're doing.
Mhm.
And so like yeah, finding those between moments and just being forgiving of yourself and letting you just sit within those moments and let it take its own ride.
Mhm. Almost like making the best of
Yeah,
those in between moments, whether it's just sitting in a quiet space or painting or reading a book or whatever that is for you. I
yeah,
agree. I agree. Just taking note of those moments in between all the demands,
all the
right,
demands and
in life.
everything in life.
So beautiful. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for sitting down with me today. I know you have so much going on, so
That's
I
okay.
really appreciate it. I think you're so talented
Thank
and you're
you.
just a wonderful human being. And I feel so honored to help represent you, but also call you, a friend at this point. It's been a pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
You're
Faryl.
welcome.
I really enjoyed being here and having you reach out to me and the growth that we've had,
Mhm.
just getting to talk with each other and sit with each other has been very special to me.
Thank you. Me
So,
too. Thank you. Let me hug.
yes.
Yes.